Welcome to the Page One Podcast, a twice-weekly podcast featuring a variety of guests and thought leaders on topics ranging from channel strategies to tariffs, influencer marketing, best-in-class product launches, and all the details about how to accelerate your e-commerce sales with the big box retailers, or what we call R-commerce. Now here's your host, Luke Peters.
Thanks for joining us on the Page One Podcast. I am your host, Luke Peters. This is a podcast where I bring you the best and brightest leaders to share consumer product sales and marketing strategies that will help you grow your business. I'm the CEO and founder of Newer Appliances, where I cut my teeth selling products online, and now I've started Retail Band, where I hope to help other brands succeed in product launches, influencer marketing, and B2B online sales strategy. And right now, I am offering a free evaluation of your online sales strategy. If you're interested, find me on LinkedIn or luke@retailband.com, and let's get into the podcast. So in this episode, you're going to learn from Jeff Thiessen, President of Dansons, which is a manufacturer of Louisiana Grills, Pit Boss, Wood Pellet, and Kamado charcoal grills. Thanks for joining me, Jeff.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Cool. And Jeff, I looked up a little bit about you. You're past EY Entrepreneur of the Year. Pit Boss was a National Hardware Retailer Choice Award winner. So congratulations on those awards. That's awesome. Are you able to, and then I know you have a unique story as a family business. Are you able to kind of fill in some of the gaps there?
Sure. Dansons is Dan and Sons. So Dan is my dad. And
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I'm one of the sons, and my younger brother is the other son that's involved in the business currently. I actually been working with my dad for 20 years under the Dansons banner here. We started the business together September of 99, and just a lot of answered prayers from where God's brought the business. So very excited still have my dad on board with the business. He's at 69. He's not slowing down. He's speeding up. So he's still our CEO. He heads up our product development side of the business, and just tons of creative energy with him and his team there. So it's been lots of fun. A real blessing to be able to work with my dad so long.
Yeah, that's great. And I come from a family business of donut shops. So I was flipping donuts with my dad at an early age. Are you able to kind of talk briefly about your early years and what kind of, drove you and your dad, Dan, to start the business?
Sure. We started working 20 years ago with wood sawmill plants, trying to get rid of their wood waste and trying to find different value add projects. That led us into bagging wood shavings for horse bedding, of all things, was one of our first projects. And then that eventually morphed into also doing wood pellet fuel for heating stoves. From that, we got into actually manufacturing wood pellet stoves, which looks just like a wood stove, except it's different internal components that burn compressed wood pellets. And then in the off season, my dad's like, we got to do something with all this equipment in the off season. Why don't we make pellet barbecues? And at the time, there's only one other manufacturer, maybe two in the whole U.S. that did such a, wood pellet grills. And it was a small business. And then, as things grew up over the years, then the recession hit and the housing crisis started, and our partners in the sawmills, wanted to divest of all the non-core businesses that we were doing with them. So we did a management buyout back in 2007, and then that was pretty much right in time to get ready for the recession in 2009.
Yeah.
Wow. And the business for pellet heating, for pellet stoves, which is our core business by that point, just fell right apart. And so we ended up selling the pellet stove business to a much larger company called Hearth & Home Technologies at the time. And then all we were left with was this little pellet grill business. And that was such a blessing, and we look back and said God works in mysterious ways, but it really helped us focus our business at that point. We went to Asia in 2013 to augment our manufacturing because we were doing everything in North America at the time. And the business has just been on an absolute rocket ship ever since. So feel very blessed, a lot of answered prayers. The brand our Pit Boss brand was born in 2013 or 14. Louisiana Grills is much older. It's been around a lot longer. And both brands continue to grow in notoriety. And we really try to focus on providing the best value proposition within the marketplace with whatever brand that we're presenting. So, and that's really resonating with our customers, which we feel very blessed with.
Yeah, thanks for that background, Jeff. And why don't we, before we kind of get more into the company, we're talking grills here, but if you could just briefly describe the products so that the audience understands the business a little bit better. You have a few different brands, and why don't we start there?
Sure. We have a good, better, best brand strategy. So we introduced our Country Smoker brand recently, which is an opening price point focused primarily around wood pellet, but you'll see some other offerings in the gas gas area as well here in the next year. Our main brand is Pit Boss, which is our better brand. It probably, we know it's the best value proposition within the pellet grilling industry by far. And our brand growth presence through Trackline data, which is a third-party data provider, is showing unbelievable growth within that brand last year. And then our Louisiana Grills is really our upper-end brand. It's more of a special retailer brand. It has kind of tip of the spear as far as product development and feature benefits. So it's with that three-brand strategy, we're able to really attack all areas of the grilling marketplace. We also, now that our wood pellet is our core within each of them. That said, we also do ceramic charcoal grills under both Pit Boss and Louisiana Grill brands. And then we also manufacture some different gas appliances, whether it be gas charcoal smoker mixes. We have not just grills, we also have vertical smokers, both in pellet and in gas and in electric. We probably have the broadest product offering of anybody in the grilling business. I'd say it's a bold statement, but I'd say it'd be very close, if not the broadest. And the reason we do that, and you probably asked the question, but I'll tell you the reason why. The reason why is because we really try and build programs that are specific to our retail partners, and they just have different needs for different areas and different retailers. So it's through listening to what our retailers really need. And instead of telling them what they need, we ask them what they need, and we respond that way, and we develop to what their needs are. And that's been just very, very key to our success last number of years.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that would be your channel strategy, right? Is you're listening to them and developing different products for different retailers, and that kind of solves any channel issues.
Yeah, and it's neat to see how God's kind of developed that for us. We are a Christian company. You'll hear me refer to a lot of answered prayers and blessings. Great. And we truly believe that the last number of years. And if we look back and we say, hey, we had this channel strategy from the beginning, that wouldn't be the truth. The truth is it really has developed, and we really think it's a God thing. And it's just been such a blessing to be along for the ride. It's been unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's a great message, and cool to hear that about the company story. Tell me about, so you mentioned something really quick. I was going to go more into the business, but I want to stop here because you mentioned something about some sort of brand tracker. What are you utilizing to understand kind of the strength of the brand and where it's going? What was that software or product?
It's called Trackline. Trackline's a third-party data provider that actually goes out and assesses market quarter by quarter, and they do it in a number of different industries. Just in barbecue, that's one of the most cited sources for strong data as far as industry trends, brand growth, brand share. And we tapped into it a few years ago, and it really helps to kind of keep a scorecard that you're achieving the goals that you want to within the industry itself. It's not directly off point of sale. It's more off end consumer data. But certainly it's directionally accurate for, how you're ranking within the industry.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna look it up afterwards. It's always, as companies are working on their brands, sometimes they don't have line of sight to how they're doing in the industry and how they're doing, compared to their competition. So it sounds like this might be a tool that can help there. We're in the middle of actually working, I forget the name of it, but we're just getting into another one. So we'll look up this one as well. It's called Trackline is what she said.
Yep, Trackline.
All right, cool. So, Jeff, why don't we continue here? Tell me, just talking about company scale and size, are you able to share total number of employees and maybe how you guys set up your distribution, size of buildings, warehouses? Do you do it yourself? Do you 3PL? How do you guys look there?
Sure. We're over 200 people within the operation. We sell worldwide. We're in a number of countries and it's growing all the time. We're a Costco vendor, so you start with about 9 countries there, and then we're probably in, I'd say, north of 20 countries at least right now and growing. We have product distribution in several points in the U.S. Washington State's our largest distribution point. We have 3 different warehouses. 2 of them are company either or leased warehouses, and then we do use 3PL to augment if we have flex that we need throughout the year. but that's not a large part of what we do. 3PL is not our core way of dealing with warehousing. We are in distribution. We really do handle it internally. We're blessed with a really strong warehousing distribution team and leadership there that's really helped us to grow. We have a distribution point in where we started actually is Edmonton, Alberta. So we have a distribution point in Canada in the west. And then, like I said, 3 of them right currently in Washington. And we have another one in Minnesota as well. And we're looking to expand that aggressively this next year. We have one that should be active in the first quarter in Arizona. And you'll see us probably look to populate something in the Southeast and then possibly in the Texas market as well in the next 18 months. So there's a lot going on the distribution side as the company continues to grow in leaps and bounds.
And how are, you might be able to share or not, but how are you guys able to grow so quickly? You have 200 people, all these different distribution centers. That's going to require a lot of capital. And just, sounds like 5 years ago, you were a shell of the company that you are right now. So you guys have had some dramatic growth. How have you done it?
That's accurate. A lot of answered prayers. I mean, I look at the growth and I say it is miraculous how we've been able to get the support that we need from our manufacturing partners overseas. I'll be able to scale aggressively there, be able to scale aggressively in warehousing with great people and strong organization. Financially, we've had great support from JP Morgan, who's been a great partner of ours as we've grown. We don't have any venture capital or outside money for the most part. We had some partners, smaller partners that we're actually taking it back, their ownership back into the company now, back to the family hands. So it's we've used very, very, very little outside money. And interestingly enough, with just the way that we're financed and with the way the support that we've had in Asia, we've been able to grow aggressively. And a big part of that is my dad is meticulous about paying vendors on time or before time, and that's helped us grow our reputation and actually our ability to get more and more manufacturing support in Asia with terms that make sense. So there's a lot of things that play together. I wouldn't say it's, the only one thing I can tell you is answer prayers. The rest of it has been phenomenal with, every part coming together to allow us that growth. And we're poised to grow aggressively again this year. We had strong growth last year, even in a tariff environment. We still, posted double-digit growth, and feel very blessed through that experience to do that. And we're poised to have a huge growth year this year. We have a lot of new product development and product launches this year, and we're probably, we're in anywhere from 12 to 15,000 retail locations around the country, depending on the products that we sell. Yeah,
I mean that's just amazing to be able to grow that quick and the capital that's needed because you're filling up warehouses with inventory. So obviously it sounds JPM's a great partner. We work with them, and it sounds like you're getting good terms from the manufacturers, and that helps with the cash flow. But it takes more than that. So you guys are doing a lot of things right to be able to grow that quickly. You have 200 people on the team, probably a large team of warehouse and distribution. But how about, in the departments, I'm sure you guys have the typical and required departments like the sales and the marketing and the finance, but is there a special sauce in your team? Is it the product development or the marketing? Or if you're able to describe maybe one department in your company and how it's put together, that'd be interesting to hear.
I think what makes us, I think, very special is that we are family owned and operated still, but we were able to scale to a national brand size fairly quickly. And we haven't lost that within the business though, as far as the family feel to everything that we do. My dad heads up product development, like I said, but he has a very strong team of leaders with him. And then I work more on the sales side of the business with our sales department. We have excellent, leadership there. And then, on the warehousing, my brother's our chief operating officer. So, the one thing that's really interesting about it is, as we've noticed as a company grows, the trust that's needed in order to scale quickly within the operation. Well, with 3 of us really focusing on different areas and having different lanes that give us, that we're probably gifted in, hopefully, certainly that's helped an awful lot. So we have a high level of trust between each of us, and we're able to make a lot of decisions probably a lot quicker than others without having to go out to outside money or to committee or to, the bank, because we are well financed and we have a lot of faith in what we're doing. So it's the type of situation that has been, our speed to execution has been absolutely pivotal in our ability to grow this business. And then when we talk to customers, we can put from concept to retail shelf in a year. A lot of our competitors simply can't do that. And, we look at business in the long term. Everything is long term the way we look at things when we look at this business. So we don't make decisions for the next quarter. We don't make decisions because we're looking at an event. My dad tells people the event within this company happened 20 years ago when we partnered together. So succession is already built into this business, and my dad's very happy and comfortable with that. And Jordan and I are very significant owners, and I think that trust level and that ability to operate a big company with a small company mentality, in some ways, there's some maturity that's had to be forced on the business over the time, but certainly has been really critical. And the three of us all believe it's God's business. We're very united in that. So it just makes a huge difference in how we approach every decision and every situation, every opportunity, and every obstacle that comes along. We pray about this business. We're blessed. So.
It's a great story. I mean, it's like the family dynamic has made you guys stronger, and your faith along with that. So, I can feel the energy. So this is going to be a good interview. I can feel it already.
Thank you.
One thing you talked about was, channel. Well, we haven't talked about channel mix. I wanted to get into that, but you said you're in 12,000 retailers, stores. You're in Costco. Before we get into that, when did you first get in store? Because we're talking about how quickly the brand's growing. It takes a while sometimes to get into stores. When was that? Prior to 2008, or is that more recent as well, where you're getting in store?
Oh, back in 2001, I believe, we started dealing with Menards for the heating appliances for the pellet stoves.
Yep.
And so that was our first exposure to box store. And that there was a lot of learning that came along with that. Eventually got into, I think, Obashan Hardware, Home Depot, Canada. We dabbled with Lowe's a little bit, but it's a very small niche when it comes to the heating side in comparison to the barbecue. But it taught us a lot of lessons back then. How to deal and how to program, how to service larger customers, even though we weren't a big vendor at the time. But it certainly was a great learning for us. And then when we got out of the heating side, we had already had some of that experience already. And so, Menards was our first major box customer. Then we expanded pretty aggressively. Walmart, Lowe's came on, I think, slightly before Walmart, and then Walmart came on, and they were looking for a national brand to handle pellet. They've been a phenomenal retail partner of ours, just as Lowe's has been, just as Menards has been. Academy Sports. We deal with a lot of different hardware channels on one level or another, depending on the product mix. We deal with a number of buying groups, like Mid-States Buying Group. It's been door after door has opened up. Certainly the Pit Boss brand, the value proposition that just superior to anything in the marketplace right now, just resonated with our customers and resonated with box stores looking for quality products. So, and then we also boast one of the best warranties in the industry. We have a 5-year warranty, which is one of the, if not the best, one of the best in the pellet grill industry. So, as a family, we stand behind the product. I really care. We also set up, some very extended customer service hours with, our customer service center that we set up in Oregon the last few years. And, it's one thing selling products, another thing keeping products sold, and most importantly, keeping customers happy. And that's something we just take very seriously, and we take it to heart. And so all those things kind of played together, to help us, not just get into these box stores, and grow the retail presence, but maintain it, and then, grow the SKU offering within it. And I don't know that there's anything super novel about what I can tell you about our business. It's just that we just truly care about it and we pray about it.
No, it is. I mean, every business is unique, and that's actually the most fun part of my job here. What is, so I'm taking notes here, kind of understanding the channel. What is your percentage of online to in-store sales? It sounds like you guys are heavily, skewed towards in-store. Would that be correct?
Yeah, heavily in-store. We'd be less than 20% of our business currently is online, but that is also one of the key initiatives, our growth initiatives for this next 2 years. We have spent a lot of time and money and effort around the social media aspect of the business, building up the brand. And now you'll see us focus aggressively on expanding both our online retailers and some direct-to-consumer play as well. That doesn't conflict with our mass business or our specialty business. We want to support both of them, but make sure that online shoppers have the ability to obtain our products as well.
Yep. So it sounds like, like you said, under 20% online, but growing. And then as far as your major partners, Costco, Walmart, Lowe's, Menards, Academy Sports, buying groups, hardware, of the smaller ones. And I'm sure you guys probably do a lot of business kind of with, mid-majors or companies. There's a lot of, in the Midwestern states, a lot of home and hardware brands. Who is someone just, that surprised you, or like a name you weren't sure the business was going to be as strong as it actually ended up being? Anybody stand out there?
Boy, I can't say that one of them necessarily stood out ahead of another one. The rapid growth of the space actually is the thing that surprised us overall.
Yeah.
And then success where, very often, if it's a slow, steady growth area, you'll have winners and losers. We don't have losers in with our retailers. We have provided them with unique product offerings, even though they're the same brand. Very often with Pit Boss, we try very carefully to provide, unique SKUs and that have different value propositions. And that's helped us an awful lot. And that's why they're all winning. I can't point at one that was way ahead of the other ones. They're all very strong for the most part. There'll be certain SKUs from time to time that don't do as well, depending on geographic location and what type of store. You don't want to have huge grills in a very a downtown store location. People don't have houses; they have apartments, so you just got to be careful with some of that stuff. But yeah, overall, I'd say the category has surprised us how it continues to expand rapidly. The pellet grill category is estimated about 12% of the total grill marketplace. Well, I'd say 2 years ago, someone would have said probably it's more like 4 or 5 at the very most. So we've had an awful lot of expansion. And anybody you talk to that's cooked on a pellet grill, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that would say negative, whether it's our product or somebody else's. The experience of cooking with wood, but with the convenience of gas, it's a one-touch. You touch it, dial in your temperature, and away you go. That the value proposition that comes with pellet grilling is amazing. And then the quality of the food that you're taking off is really what it's all about. And you can grill like an expert griller with that real rich smoke flavor, but you can just be a novice. If you can run an oven, you can run a pellet grill and produce some of the best barbecue in the world.
Yeah. No, and talking about the product, so earlier you kind of alluded to supply chain and how you guys are mostly based in Asia. What tariff bracket are you guys in? Are you guys getting hit by the 25%, or is it a lower bracket? And then
so our gas products, certainly our gas products are tariffed at 25%. Our pellet products are not currently.
Oh, that's nice.
And God willing, that stays that way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's tough. I was going to ask, and that's obviously probably disrupted those product lines for the whole industry, right? On the gas side.
I would say it actually disrupted the entire industry in terms of, the pending tariffs would have affected us. And, we're seeing major retailers with major retail, point of sale dollar increases, but with reduced inventories from the previous year. That I would say is probably across many industries. If the truth be known about actual retail inventory dollars in the U.S. right now, I'd say it's probably way down because of the tariffs. So
yeah, meaning they're holding out and hoping they go away because they got to buy the product if it's getting sold. So they're just running leaner inventory and faster turns, so that when the tariffs do go away, they're not stuck with a bunch of overpriced inventory.
That's 100%. I think that's exactly, through the recession, it was a little different. It was, dollars weren't available for inventory. It's not that dollars aren't available. Everyone's afraid of having high priced inventory and then obviously having a quarter or two with massively reduced margins. I don't blame the retailers for being skittish on inventory. They've been fairly upfront with us on that. But over time, you can't only get so efficient on inventory when you have to rebuy. So the nice part is looking at that the tariffs, at least on our products, won't be applied, or the core of our business, that being pellet, hopefully don't get applied ever. So that's been a real blessing for us.
And Jeff, so it sounds like you guys are directly affected and like you said, blessed by being in a great category that's growing quite a bit. As you mentioned, from say 4% of total grills to 12% right now in the pellet category. But is there a secret sauce, or what is something that makes your brand unique that you think is giving you this advantage in the marketplace?
Value proposition. We can comp up with anybody in this marketplace, and you look at the dollars per selling features. Our units are bigger, hotter, and heavier than almost all of our competitors, and we're selling them for anywhere from 20 to 40% less if you want to mark them up by square inch. There's a few small exceptions with that, but I would overall, our total value proposition within our breadth of product, nobody's been able to match us on that. And a big part of that is because we don't have outside influences. We don't have outside money in the business. We make a fair margin that keeps the business healthy, and feel very blessed. But the reality is we don't have to have massive margins in order to support massive debt loads. And those are the realities of business. When you have a lot of debt, someone's got to pay for it. So we're just not debt laden, and that's made a huge difference in our ability to, provide that best value proposition. And we're very thankful for that. I mean, we're very keenly aware that being a family business and being able to make our own decisions and not being influenced by outside money has been a huge blessing for us. And it's allowed us a huge market advantage.
Wow. And are you able to share? So how many SKUs do you guys have total?
SKUs, hundreds. I mean, we're in that's not just barbecues. Like, we do barbecues, both in pellet gas and charcoal, but we also do, spices. We do accessories. Our accessory programs are expanding rapidly with Lowe's, Academy Sports, Menards, a number of different retailers picking up our accessories program. We look at grilling, the entire outside grilling atmosphere. Some people want to stay in their lane, only in their lane, and that's good. I mean, I respect that. I respect, sticking to your knitting. At the same time, we are passionate about outside cooking in general. So for us, we're launching a brand new line of griddles coming up here. Gas, they are propane griddles, but we see that as a great market expansion this next year. And we've already have some products that will be hitting the shelves in the next few weeks on them. So, we look at all different trends, and what we try to go back to is providing a superior value proposition to our consumers. Pit Boss is known for providing a better product for a more economical price, for us, and it's our family standing behind it. We truly care about what we're putting in the marketplace.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are, obviously moving quick on all fronts, and the company is strong all around, but it sounds like especially it must be on the product development side, because kind of I can see it through these conversations, how quickly you guys are launching SKUs and listening to the buyers and innovating in the market. So obviously your dad's involved on that side. Is there a team in China that is working alongside of him, or what does that team look like so, and that makes it so effective and innovative?
Certainly. I mean, that's critical, having engineering on both sides of the ocean. I mean, we do the core of our ideation and product development is here in Phoenix. We're led by we have a phenomenal team that my dad leads. There's over 100 units, different items within product development right now. So ideation and product development comes in several forms. Number one is from the customer. When we have a collaborative relationship with our retail partners, they know their end consumer. A good buyer knows their end consumer, and they know where the holes are. They know what questions are being asked, what products are being asked for. We just try to ask the right questions and respond quickly. So when we look at our business, that you're absolutely right. That's one thing that's been absolutely critical. If we weren't willing to invest in, large amounts of money in tooling and in personnel to keep the product development cycle very short and very lively and very exciting. When we go to our, one of the questions we get asked all the time, and is this patented? Is this, trademarked? And for the most part, yes, we are patenting and trademarking a lot of things these days. But at the same time, pretty hard for our competitors to react if we're constantly bringing out new products. Now, that's not a popular thing to do on the economic side, because we do carry more inventory than others. We have more money in tooling than others. But once again, we're not about just a short-term gain. We look at things in the long game. We look at things, how do we build relationships with our customers? How do we listen and respond to their needs? And how do we invest in the long term? When they see us leaning in and investing and seeing other companies that aren't willing to do that, that's what sets us apart in a lot of ways from other competitors of ours. And I'm not trying to be hard on other competitors. They're great competitors in this industry, and it's a wonderful industry to be part of. But when there's outside influences and outside money, there's different types of decisions that are made. So it's just a blessing for us to be able not to have to respond differently. In product development, that's where we lean in heavy and spend a huge amount of money, which we're happy to do because it's coming back to us.
Yeah. So, wow, to paraphrase, and that's a great answer. You get ideas from the customer, and then I guess, like you said, you have to get those from your buyer. So having that buyer relationship and just being curious and listening. And that's where it starts. And also I thought what was interesting is that, you talked about, hey, you're okay to have some more tools that are paid for, meaning more dollars sunk into tooling and more inventory, because that allows you to be more innovative and bring in more products. And I know that's always a back and forth of, working with contract manufacturers or really being involved in the product development. But I guess if you're not doing that, then it's going to be hard for you to have these innovative products. So you have to invest there. And it's great to understand how you guys think about that.
Yep.
Cool. Let's talk about operations, because that seems to be another strong. I mean, you guys have, I stopped counting, but you guys are over 5 distribution centers, it sounds like, right? And more to come. Mm-hmm. So it's now, you don't need to have that many. So, or do you? Because maybe it's because of the size of these products, right? They're going on pallets. Is that why is that why in your business it's needed to have more distribution centers, or what's the purpose of all of those?
We have some large competitors that also use 3PL. We like to control the process. The end consumer experience is extremely important to us. And when you have it in-house, you can control a lot of that process a lot more. With our focus on online expansion, you have to carry inventory to a large degree.
Yep. And
so we want to make sure that we have that available when a customer wants it. So that's why we have a lot of distribution. I wouldn't call it an industry specific type of need, but certainly we just view it a bit differently than some of our competitors do. But there's a lot of competitors that have their own warehousing as well. It's not that unique within our space. We also have product in Europe, in the warehouse in Europe. So that'll be expanded this next year as well as we attack that market. So it's just a way for us to keep a control on something internally and provide a superior service experience to our customers. I should probably mention we do a lot of our customers also pick up product from our factories in Asia as well. So it's a hybrid. It's not, we don't run everything through our distribution points.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna have some DI, but I'm just saying it's I'm with you. We have a pretty big warehouse as well, but what I was saying, what I thought was unique is that it seems like you have a lot of different distribution points, and I guess that cuts down shipping time to your customers. But in this case, most of the customers are going to be the retail stores. But yeah, that's going to be a big advantage once you do go online, because then you're going to have shorter shipping times and, less damages.
Well, it's really 3-pronged because, I think everyone would agree that the online consumer is growing and growing and growing. I think it'd be crazy not to think that. So you need to consider the freight factors from each region. And, it's something that is, something that's top of mind these days around here as we continue to expand those programs. So we need to make sure that we're closer to markets, have product in, relatively close to markets whenever possible. Being aggressive in our freight negotiation is extremely important. It's not a one size fits all where you just plug into something to handle direct to consumer shipments, whether that be for, our online sales ourselves or through our online retailers, because not all of them have their own logistics programs either. So it's just, freight is just such a critical part of what we're doing in today's, retail landscape, especially on online retail. Then we get into, retail right now in store is our big portion, but you have to be able to support them as well in the online. So that's really where that need comes from, I think, to a large degree. So I don't think it's specific to our industry at all.
Yeah, no, it's, I love it. That's like important ops, but you guys have hit that critical mass on the shipping. It's interesting when companies are smaller, it's tough because, sending product to the East Coast, if they're say a West Coast and they're working out of, Port of Long Beach, and then they want to, they see 70% of their product is shipped to the East Coast. So they want to put up a warehouse over there. But the problem is that it costs a lot more to get a container there. And then it's going to cost a lot more to store it there if it's not their building. But yeah, you guys have that critical mass. There has to be a certain amount of volume. And when you hit that critical mass that a larger company like yours is at, then it's a no-brainer to have, the different satellite warehouses, because, you're going to ship on, or you're going to save on the UPS or FedEx freight. So makes total sense. And I think that's what I was looking for. That's the answer. It's dollars and cents on shipping. Is a lot of your stuff, are your grills going LTL, or are a lot of them able to ship small parcel?
It's depending on the size. We have such a range within products. So some are UPSable and some are LTL. I'd say what you'll see from more of us is more UPS design products as we move forward. As that landscape continues to demand more and more and more. So you'll see that. But right now, 150 pounds is that threshold. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes slightly as delivery networks change and adapt. I mean, what an advantage it would be for some of these guys to, move that up and that'd give them a definite advantage on the freight side if it was 160 or 165 or, I think you're going to see how products are delivered change a lot over the next 10 years.
Totally agree, especially with the news on, FedEx. We're having this interview in late December 2019 right now, and FedEx has been in the news with Amazon dropped them, and we use FedEx. I love FedEx, but they've had some challenges. So yeah, that is an excellent point you bring up. I wouldn't be surprised at all if to become more competitive, UPS and FedEx change some of those requirements to try to get some of that larger parcel business. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. Hey Jeff, you built a winning organization, obviously, with your family, and what are maybe 3 pieces of advice that you would give other leaders, from your learnings in building Dansons? Are there maybe, 3 pieces of advice that stand out as far as what helped you and how you think?
How I think is you pray about everything. That's where we start and where we finish everything. Number 2 is trusting. I mean, you're trusting your people. So you got to have good people. I mean, I can't tell you enough good things about my dad or my brother and how much I love working with them. I think that's and not just them, the team that we've been blessed with. We trust these people to make good decisions, and we support them. And that's we could not do it alone. We couldn't do it. Number 1, like I said, without God. Number 2, without good people. And there's nothing novel about those approaches to business. Everyone talks about you have to have good product, you have to have sales, you have to have good financing. I mean, you have to go to warehousing. All these things have to play together. One thing I would say, one of the things we've learned is you can't ignore any one of those as you're growing a business. But and then also, honestly, when we pray about everything, it keeps a pretty relaxed atmosphere for the most part. So some people love dealing with high stress and high pressure all the time. We don't. We have a very family atmosphere here. We care about our people, care about our customers, and I think that really rings true going back to the people. We have great people that want to be around. We have a high level of retention around those people, and we're very thankful for that. It's such a blessing to us. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not exactly a good MBA case. That's not the way we look at our business.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys that think they're real smart. We're maybe guys that aren't that smart that are blessed with a phenomenal opportunity and a great business, and that's God doing it. Yeah, and we're happy to say it. Yeah,
well, you're obviously humble because you've grown a company really good. So you guys are doing something right. But I mean, yeah, summarizing that up, you pray about everything, you trust good people, and you guys have a relaxed atmosphere, which kind of goes into point number 2, about trusting good people that you've brought onto the team. And you got to have that when you're growing that fast. And kind of on that point, so you guys are 200 people now, and kind of move the business back, let's say 5 or 10 years when you're smaller. I'm guessing about the number of people, but let's say 20 or 30. I have no idea.
Let's say 12 less than 10 years.
Okay, let's say 12. So 12 less than 10 years. So what is the main thing that had to change in the company? Because you did say that, the company's grown up, you still have the family atmosphere, but you guys had to get more disciplined. So what happened between 12 and 200? What are the different types of hires or people you needed or processes you had to put in place?
Procedure. I mean, procedure and processes and procedure are pretty key in that. And the beauty of how we're set up is my brother is our chief operating officer. So there was a high level of trust immediately when we had to make moves in maturity around, in product development with my dad, or product, fulfillment with warehousing. And we one thing we do on a regular basis is pray for our team, and we've been blessed with a great team. Like, our team are people that come with a lot of experience, not necessarily within our industry, but certainly within, whether it be warehousing or sales or finance we're just blessed with great people that have a higher level of aptitude and excellence around them. So it moved from the big changes. It used to be 3 of us making absolutely every decision, to having a team of high functioning professionals that are making good decisions and us supporting them. So and that is a very big culture shift, internally, because, interestingly enough, like I said earlier, we retain a lot of the small company mentality at the same time because we care so deeply for our people. But, my dad and brother and I can still have lunch and launch a new product line or a new division. And that happens sometimes, which is lots of fun. But at the same time, now we have a mechanism, a machine here that can execute on that vision, that we're not pulling all those levers ourselves. And that's been a huge difference. Like when you have that infrastructure and that size and that critical mass to be able to vision and execute so much faster with good, solid people, it is a game changer for us. It has been. It's been so much fun. It's been such a blessing.
You sound a lot like Dave Ramsey. Have you ever been to any of his events? Or you and Dave must be brothers.
I do admire the man in some ways. Dave Ramsey is not necessarily a entrepreneur's kind of guy though either, because to get to the size that we have been, we've had to, you have to use bank money. Yeah. That's not a Dave Ramsey thing at all.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
But certainly I do respect his fiscal approach to many things. I've enjoyed listening to him over the years.
Yeah, that's funny. So you guys went from 12 to 200 people during this period that we talked about. And like you said, you're 3 people making the decisions, and now you've built out a team. So, but you said, hey, you joked around, you don't have an MBA, but you've learned a heck of a lot over that time period. What is, looking back at the business over the past year, what do you think your biggest win has been in business?
That's a good question. I think retention of our, because we've had a lot of growth the last 2 years. Retention of our faith and our attitude. We have moved into a different level, size-wise, economics-wise. On a pretty large, we're probably the top 5 in the barbecue industry, if not higher than that, without saying too much. And it's a type of thing that we've still been able to retain that family feel to what we do. And I think that's a huge win. Our customers feel it, and that allows us to grow more because they have a lot more faith that these people that, they're dealing with are the same people, today as they were, 10 years ago, even when we were tiny, as they're going to be in 10 years when we move forward. I mean, I'm still in my, mid 40s, and I have hopefully lots of time left. And I'm having a ball. I absolutely love the team we have. I love the family aspect of working together, and I think that comes through in preserving our culture.
Cool. And Jeff, do you happen to have a favorite book that's inspired you, or just whatever book you might recommend?
Well, I'm going to start with the Bible. So I'm reading through it. I'm reading through it again, and I don't want to be that in a glib way, because if you just take a little bit of time and slow down and think about the lessons that are taught in that are just, when I read management books, which I do, I read leadership books, which I do. Recently, a book by Chuck Swindoll, Hand Me Another Brick. It was a great leadership book, bad biblical principles. But I just find it very interesting when I read management books, how a lot of the principles that suddenly people think are novel are not novel at all. Caring about people, having ethics in your business, working hard and providing an example. These are all things that are very biblical in nature. That might not be politically correct, but that's just how we live our lives. Not that we're perfect. Boy, do we make lots of mistakes, but certainly it helps guide us and get us back on track again and again.
That's a great message. And, the passion in your voice, I think, has made this an engaging interview. So thanks for sharing all of those details about the family business, your faith, and how you guys think about business and where Dansons has grown, from 10 or so years ago to where it is now. How can listeners find more about you and learn more about your business? Dansons.com is our main site. We have pitboss-grills.com, both of them. One thing I would like to mention when we talk about our culture, and it's something that we actually struggled with, but it's helped with our culture an awful lot the last few years, is we tithe 10% of our profits to Christian charities through our foundation. And we've recently started sharing that with our staff. And I think that means an awful lot. I know it means an awful lot to them, because no matter what faith they're supporting, what we try and do is get behind organizations that, have women at risk or young kids that need support, or, we also do some stuff around the Breast Cancer Foundation, things like that. And when people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, not just enriching somebody or some organization, that plays a pivotal role in how they feel about what they're doing and the efforts they put in. And so we started sharing that the last years with our staff, and we're not looking for any thank yous, except that they need to know that they're part of something bigger than themselves. And it's been transformative. There's no
there's no rule that we have here. We just want to be very welcoming, very loving, but we want to be very sharing in what God's put on our hearts at the same time, and honest. So that's been pretty critical for us the last few years, and something that has changed as it comes to mind. So
that's amazing that you guys are able to give 10% of your profits to charity. I could definitely see how that is going to pull the company together on that point.
Well, that's a blessing just to being part of it. So we just feel that it truly is a blessing, being able to give back.
Yeah, and Jeff, that's amazing that you guys give 10% of your profits to charity, and I think like so many companies wish they could be doing that, but you guys are doing it. So I think it's a great way to kind of complete this interview.
I certainly enjoy the conversations with our bankers when we first meet them and let them know that is something that's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
No matter how they want to write their covenants. And it's interesting because at first it's usually kind of a negative look, but then very quickly they understand the culture and the business that we're part of, and they really learn to appreciate it too. So it's been an interesting part of our business, but certainly that's a fundamental my dad has instilled in each of us, and that's certainly his legacy that will live on. We're just have to be part of it.
I'm sure with your growth rate, and JPM is lucky and happy to have you guys. So listen, Jeff, I want to thank you again for being on the Page One podcast. Appreciate all of your insights, and I'm sure the audience is better now than they were before this interview. And also just a quick reminder to the audience that I'm offering a free evaluation of your online sales strategy. If you guys need help launching products or improving your sales on Home Depot, Wayfair, and any of those other digital channels, find me on LinkedIn or luke@retailband.com. Again, thank you all for joining us on the Page One podcast. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to the Page One podcast with Luke Peters. If you like our show and want to know more, check out our other segments. Also, please help us out by leaving us a rating on iTunes. Want to learn more about our commerce? Check out www.retailband.com to get more great tips and tricks on how to accelerate your e-commerce sales with the big box retailers.